Satanism. To most, it conjures images of medieval black masses or sinister deeds done for the devil. Must expose all the evil being done in the name of Satan.
Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to what's going to be like the guest episode 2. The first one was kind of a pilot, though, with the Highgate Vampire, where we talked about Ferrant and Manchester and their little wizard duel. Just talking about these grifters. What else can you call them? These charlatans. It's right there in the name, Charlatan's Web. Charlatan's Web. These are people that are making money off pretending to have forbidden knowledge or supernatural powers and all these unsavory practices. And I'm not saying that everybody and anybody who does this stuff is a grifter. But when you try to exploit someone's mental illness, like what we're going to look at tonight, you can definitely put that in the category of exploitation and call these people charlatans. Now, maybe I should have started with Ed and Lorraine. Is my microphone coming through the right thing this time? And the last time when I switched it over, it makes it pop back over. It looks like it is. You know what the best way to tell is? Give a little tap. Yep, it seems to be. All right. Because sometimes it'll switch to... Yeah, no one, yeah, like you wouldn't get that kind of, yeah. The Warrens, who we're looking at today, Ed and Lorraine Warren, are sort of famous in the occult community, and we'll just do a quick rundown of them. This is that you see them in the thumbnail, but yeah, this is Ed and Lorraine, just from their wiki page. I like how it tells you who's left and who's right here. Ed and Lorraine Warren were paranormal investigators and authors. She just recently passed away in 2019. And authors is one of the key features that we're going to be looking at when it comes to explaining why these people keep finding all this supernatural stuff where no one else seems to find it. Wow, I can't believe how many people are already here, honestly. I was expecting it to be dead. I was really expecting it to be dead because it's 4th of July here in the U.S., which is Independence Day. So a lot of people are out tonight to do like fireworks shows and things. So I thought I'd be like just talking into the wind tonight, but I wanted to keep the schedule because I want to keep doing this every Friday night. I'm going to start doing it with guests too. So next week I've got one scheduled. We're going to be discussing Dr. Stephen Greer and the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind movement and the EB5 meditation. Or, EC5 meditation, or CE5 meditation. Let me get it out in the right order. My brain's putting things out of order for me. I don't know if it's dyslexia or what, but Ed was a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer, whereas Lorraine professed to be a clairvoyant and a light trance medium. That's where she goes into little trances. I'm sure you've all seen the Conjuring movies. You got the Conjuring and Annabelle and the Nun and all that stuff. That's who Vera Farmiga's character is. This Lorraine Warren. That's who these two folks right here really were, and that's who it's based on. Yeah, they founded the New England Society of Psychic Research. Let's actually go look at that real quick. I think I had that pulled up. Where was it? Nope, not there. I got lots of videos and stuff to go through. Don't you worry. Don't you worry one bit. Oh, yeah. After this, that's where we're going. That is where we're going. So don't leave. Don't manually leave, and we'll leave through that portal. Where did I put that? Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is where I wanted to kind of get things started. Okay, so first let's go to their homepage before we jump into their article specifically about Bill Ramsey, who is the star of the show. And they always make him look so horrid in these pictures. You can take a picture of me looking all and have it look monster. Actually, I'm still cute as fuck. Who am I kidding? Still too cute. Can't do it. Can't get my forehead to wrinkle right. I need to move my hat. I'm the wolf girl of El Paso because I can make that face. Yeah, it's like, oh, snarl for the camera, Bill. Click, click. Anyway, I digress. Yes, please. Yeah. Well, like it's kind of like I'm holding hands with Patty over here, and she just pulls me along, and I got you all over here, and as she pulls me, then I pull you, so you come along with me to the bad girls, to join the Bad Girls Club right here with these hotties. Yeah. Anyway, New England's Paranormal Research Headquarters. This is their website for the NESPR, or New England Society for Psychic Research, which was founded by the Warrens in 1952. As featured on, they like to show off that they've been on some news programs like USA Today, New York Times, People Magazine, NBC News, Grunge, Fox News. You know, that's where you go. That's where they report and you decide. CNN too. You know, the home of facts and Pop Sugar, Travel Channel. Ooh, fancy. Man, Travel Channel. There's lots of ghost hunting stuff. So they got their claim to fame is Annabelle here. We know Annabelle. Of course, you are probably more familiar with Annabelle looking like this freaky little creature right here, as opposed to the Raggedy Ann doll. And I was aware of Annabelle and the Warrens and stuff because I was a big into paranormal research, friends. I'm not even joking. That was my thing. Also, hey, by the way, I'm wearing my 4th of July shirt, so I'm a patriot. Look at me. No, not really, not at all. Kind of finding it hard to find my patriotism. Anyway, I grew up with the books and stuff on my parents had ghost books. My parents were like into this spiritualist movement. My dad was kind of he was indifferent to it, like engrossed in it, but he like believed in it. He was like mainly he was like a Dan Aykroyd fan. That's what sort of led him down that road. But that's why we had all the books and stuff. I think we had books on ghosts and stuff like that. And some of the books we had stories that from the Warrens. And Annabelle was Raggedy Ann doll, because we had Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. I don't know if anybody in the audience is old enough to remember those. I think some of you all might be, but they were very popular in the 80s when I was a kid. And well before that, too. I think they've been popular since the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps even older than that. Regardless, so it's the standard patchwork design that everybody's grandma would make for them. You wouldn't necessarily buy the dolls. You could buy the dolls, but for the most part, people would buy the patterns to make it, and it was a standardized pattern, and they'd make them for you if you get it for Christmas or whatever, your birthday, and it's handmade. A handmade Raggedy Ann and Andy doll, and they'd have buttons on their hands so that they could hold their hands together, right? They had other things too that you could make, other patterns that would go with them. There was mostly I remember there was a blue camel and a clown. We didn't like the clown, so we didn't have a clown. We didn't have the clown. We'd seen it, but we didn't have it. Me and my brother did not like it. Probably because of Stephen King's Ed. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. In 1959, my dad's side of the family were the same town when the Clutters had their cold blood incident. Okay, yeah, we're gonna explore all of the Warrens case by case files. We're not gonna do them back to back. There's gonna be other things that we're gonna stick in here, but when I don't have something else to stick in, it'll probably be a Warrens case, because I want to pick these guys apart, all their claims apart, and some of the allegations as well, because we're not going to get into that now. Let's focus on what the organization does. So but mostly they profit off of Annabelle and Conjuring kind of stuff. Of course. The Nun, Nesper gets a cut every time that anything with Annabelle on it comes out. So, of course, they're going to promote that. And that's the sad thing, too. I like those movies, and they're well produced. I love horror movies. I love good paranormal horror movies where they try to world build on it, and it's not just throw crazy shit on you. Like, my favorite paranormal series, it's like a horror series, is the Poltergeist series. I like their world building and how they kind of like with the watches and stuff falling from the portals that were were the grave items with the people haunting them. I loved that. I loved the whole thing. So I do like supernatural and paranormal stuff. I don't believe in it. I'm not a believer. I spent a lot of years in the field doing paranormal research, right? I started would have been from 1999 to about, I want to say the last time I did anything that we consider paranormal research would have been in 2012-ish. Any kind of paranormal research where I was like intending to communicate with a spirit, right? I spent years doing it. And became more and more convinced that it's not real, and noticed that the people who were convinced or trying to convince people that it was real, or acting like they were convinced it were real, were people trying to make money. I'm not saying, again, that there's nothing behind it. It's just like with Bigfoot. There's a phenomena there that's happening repeatedly to multiple people in similar situations over and over and over again. Because they're not, I don't at all believe that everybody who reports a ghost and everybody who reports a Bigfoot sighting is some kind of grifter. I just don't. At all. I think most people I think the backbone of sightings are built on some kind of phenomena that I'm not sure what it is. I have my preferred pet theories, like with the Bigfoot phenomena. It's mostly built around a bear sightings. But with all of this stuff, I have pet theories about infrasound and the way it makes your body respond to other environmental factors, the way you experience the grass moving, right? It's just like priming your brain to experience things. So you can do that, like it's what you do. When you're watching a scary movie or something, it primes your brain, and then you're walking to the bathroom, and the floorboard that creaks every time you walk to the bathroom. Suddenly, it seems so. What was that? Just things like that, because you get your brain primed to be scared. Now, in certain environments, when the wind blows right to this direction, through these buildings, or through this cluster of trees just right, or through this valley, it causes sounds. Not sounds that you can necessarily hear, what they call infrasounds. The same thing that happens, that they put under the scores in music, right? And like in music and horror movies and stuff, to get your brain set to be scared. Oh, thank you, Aunt Jur. That's very thoughtful of you. I can't believe I didn't have that. Well, I wasn't prepared for Annabelle. We will do an Annabelle. Don't worry. We will cover the Annabelle doll at some point, either on here or on Cryptic Corner or something. We'll get there. Don't worry. The character was created in 1915 as a doll and was introduced to the public in the 1918 book Raggedy Ann Stories. Behold the tree. Oh, that's mine. All right. So that's where Raggedy Ann came from. Anyway, I was saying about infrasound and things like that. So I do believe there are experiences that our brains are wired to react to, that we aren't sure what's going on, but something's going on. And infrasound exists in like the roar of a big cat, the howl of a wolf, right? Our brain responds to these sounds. Our brain reacts to them, whether we know it or not, whether somebody put it into the score of a horror movie to give you chills while someone stalks in the shadows, or whether it's the wind blowing through the two brick buildings across the street that echoes through your window, the reverberates through the glass on your window just right to make you feel something's watching me, something's here. I can sense it, right? It puts you on edge, and it's perfectly normal. I think there's a lot of things that'll happen, like with like a Sasquatch sighting, with a Mothman sighting, maybe that's a bear, maybe that's an owl, but your experience of it was completely different because of the way that the environmental factors caused your neurochemistry to react. Because a long time ago, it was so advantageous for you to be terrified when you hear that pitch of sound coming from the distance, because it was the roar of a lion. It was the howl of a wolf. It was a bear marking its territory, Anyway, back to the story. So, we should become an investigator, become an insider. I should do that. Really lean into it. Be like, yeah, I'm a psychic investigator. What do you guys think? Should I do that? That would be disingenuous, maybe? I don't know. Anyhow, let's see. So, they have, their version of their life story, which involves psychic powers and demons and stuff. So, take it with a grain of salt. That's their daughter. But they'll have different sections on all their case files, and one of their case files, of course, is on Bill Ramsey, sometimes called the Real Werewolf of London, and sometimes called the South End Werewolf. Oh, and before I get started, I need to plug this, because Ben gets me some different cryptid drinks and stuff to try from the local spirit Specs, yeah. Spirits, the Halloween store. So this is the Jabberwocky. It's an Imperial India Pale Ale. And its can looks pretty cool. It's got like a little scully face guy on it with bat wings. This is the same people who made the Bat Squatch, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to try it out, though, before we get too much into Billy's story. Definitely tastes like a pale ale. A little dry. All right, so Bill Ramsey was born and raised in Essex, the seaside town of Southend in the UK. His childhood would seem mostly normal, except for an incident when he was just 9 years old. One memorable day, and actually we're going to let Bill tell it from his point of view.
The story began when I was 9 years old. It was a very warm summer's evening. Suddenly the air went very cold. There was a terrible stench in the air, and I just flew into the most horrendous rage. My mother and father came out to see what the hell was going on, and the fence post was 2 or 3 inches square. It was set into concrete in the ground. I pulled it out and smashed it on the floor till it broke. Well, I don't think I could do that now. My mother and father just couldn't make out why their little 9-year-old boy suddenly started to act virtually like an animal in the garden.
Bill Ramsey thought it was...
So, if you didn't follow, when he was 9 years old, he was playing outside, right? And he suddenly flew into, he got cold. A sudden cold hit him. But then he flew into a rage. Ripped up a fence post. And then he... Not connected, are you? Hold on. Make sure this isn't connected because it's dinging like it is. Yeah, Bluetooth's off. All right. And then he was chewing on the chicken wire and stuff. He went all wild. The thing about this incident is that he doesn't remember it, or it's a repressed memory of some type, right? Something he pulled back up when in his adult life. And we do have, there are repressed memories that your brain totally fabricates, right? Not all of them, but that's what led to the satanic panic in the 80s was, what's that story somebody remembers? Amanda remembers? Where the hypnotist pulled memories out of this from this girl about being tortured in a satanic cult with by her parents, and it was all fabricated in her brain. And your brain will do that to you by itself, right? I don't know if how many I would say, maybe 8% of the childhood stories I might recap here might be fabricated by my brain. In the further back that I go, the more likely they are to be fabricated. But I do, I do draw up memories of things that I forgot. Sometimes a smell will trigger it or something like that. But I'm not saying the story didn't happen. I'm just saying that it's pulled from a bank where stories of questionable origins might fester. If you watch a show with closed captions on, it will describe the sound design music to you, to tell you what emotions you're supposed to feel: scary music, eerie music, suspenseful music, etc. Yeah. Some of those emotion descriptions are very specific and almost laughable.
Isolated childhood event. He grew up, married, had children. But then the violent episode from his childhood came back to haunt the adult. Strange animal behavior would overtake him. Violence he couldn't control or explain. At first he could keep it secret, but then one day, Bill Ramsey bit someone in public, and the animal inside him wasn't a secret anymore. Soon after...
They're doing a big shortcut on his whole story there, but that is kind of roughly what happened. So it goes from... he had the incident when he was a child. Then throughout his early adulthood, he was pretty normal. He reported having lots of dreams about being a wolf and being an animal standing by the beach, sitting on the beach howling and stuff like that. Walking into the kitchen behind his wife and whispering her name, and she turns around and she's terrified, and he doesn't understand why, and he looks at himself in the mirror and he's a monster. Like my friend, everybody has that experience. As far as I know, everybody has dreams, like weird dreams like that, where they look in a mirror and they're like the crypt keeper. They're like, I used to always see myself with horns in the mirror in my dreams, or sometimes that my family and stuff would see me as a monster and try to like kill me and stuff. Weird stuff. Dreams are weird. Or maybe I'm a werewolf. I could be a werewolf. That'd be kind of cool too. Yeah. Guess we need to get into theranthropy and stuff like that at some point too. At some point. I'm not ready to do it now, but yeah. We'll have to explore that. But lycanthropy is not like that. Lycanthropy is something completely different, and we'll talk about that too.
Dr. Ramsey attacked a nurse at South End Hospital.
I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
Then, without reason or warning, Bill Ramsey attempted the murder of a police officer. He was
this part of this, they're cutting out so much here, okay? So I have a timeline pulled up here, so I kind of know the way things are laid out, and the Warrens kind of fabricated some stuff too. But so in 1983, Bill Ramsey's at the bar with his friends, right? Chilling, having some drinks. Starts having his cold spot feelings, so he goes to the bathroom, looks in the mirror, and sees himself in his monster form, right? So when he comes back out, he's like, "Oh, let's go," and they take him home. But on the ride home, he loses control and starts, and he's in the back seat. He starts pouncing on his buddy in the back seat and trying to attack him and stuff and biting his leg. So the driver stops. The other guy's driving. The guy that's driving stops and pulls over, and they get Bill off of him. And he starts to come back to his senses and runs off into the woods of, like, I guess of embarrassment, but I don't know. And then we get to the story where he thought he was having a heart attack. All right. So in 1984, he goes to the ER because he thinks he's having a heart attack. At some point during I guess I could call it an altercation. A nurse was attempting to run their diagnostics on him, and he bit her. And then he went crazy in the hospital, or started throwing stuff around and acting all wild and feral. Allegedly, because there's no police report of this incident. This is just what appears in the Warrens' book, right? This is what appears in the literature. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually what happened, if you get what I'm saying. There's no police reports of this incident. But he was taken in and held in the hospital, sedated and held in the hospital, and kept under observation for a few days before he was released, with no police report or anything on it, which is peculiar. But in this instance, they said it took like 4 police officers to subdue him, right? And then in 1987, so a full 3 years later, Bill is at the pub again, having some drinks. Seems like there's a running theme here of Bill having a couple of drinks before he loses it. And Bill decides, you know what? I need a hooker. So Bill goes out to get himself a hooker, right? From the bar. His again, he's got a wife and family at home, wife and kids and stuff. Goes out to get himself a hooker. Gets himself an underage hooker. A teenage hooker. Right? And because he starts to have his werewolf attack. Maybe it's his first time getting a hooker. I don't know. Most guys, the time that they get caught with a hooker is the first time that they've ever had a hooker before. Yeah. I mean, right? Like, it's the first time ever, especially the married guys who get with a hooker. Oh, it's my first. This is the isolated incident. This has never happened before. As a matter of fact, back in my hometown, there was one of my friends did that to his wife. Because one of my other friends was the hooker. I know that too. Or yeah. So girl, you know who I'm talking about. If you watch my show, I do my eyebrows like you. You inspire me. I always thought you were so pretty. But anyway, yes, I paint my face like my favorite hooker from back home. Anyway, so the hooker starts getting uncomfortable and asking to be let go, asking to be let out. So Bill, in his lycanthropic state, apparently, tells her that no. As a matter of fact, he's arresting her. He's doing a citizen's arrest. Hearing notifications. Yeah, I thought I was hearing notifications too. Let me close out of Discord anyway. And I'll close out of Facebook. Which Facebook I had set up to not do notifications in here anymore, but everything's reset in there now because I got kicked out for a while. Anyway, back to the story. So Bill drives with this underage prostitute to the police station. And as soon as he pulls in and puts on the brakes, she jumps out of the car and runs inside, right? So an officer comes out to Bill and kind of confronts him. And Bill says he's got the devil in him. And when he's got the devil in him, he's very strong. And Bill's not a big guy. We'll look at pictures of him in a little bit. But this cop was a big guy. But Bill took him down. Bill jumped on him. And when the rest of the cops came out, he had this officer, Terrence something. We'll get to him in a minute. But had him pinned to the ground. Had him wrestled down, right? These other cops tried to come in and help, and Bill's in a rage, and the other cops are trying to restrain him. Eventually it took, this time not 4 but 6. It keeps getting bigger. 6 cops now. That's this many for those who count fingers. Stopping by, still modding, but thought I'd bring something to the algorithm. Appreciate ya. Appreciate anybody who's stopping by. Anyway, so yeah. And then he was locked up. And that's where we pick up right here. So that's everything that this sightings from 1992 kind of left out of the story. And we know it because we can view the police reports.
Locked up, and his life became a tangle of police, psychiatrists, and reporters.
I envisaged being in prison for the rest of my life, or in a secure mental hospital the rest of my life, for something I knew I would never be responsible.
He flew into a drunken
The
rage,
unassuming man with the tragic secret was famous now as the Werewolf of Southend-on-Sea.
What was causing it? I was literally felt like just committing suicide.
Word of Ramsey's bizarre...
And this is the first official reports of this guy being a werewolf. All the rest of his anecdotal stuff that he talks about, right? That he tells about and that he reports on that has happened in the past. There's nothing... So the first incident was him going out getting drunk with his buddies and having this happen. And then the second incident was him attacking an underage prostitute that he had in his car, or making an underage prostitute frightened and then taking her to the police station and then attacking a cop, right? So the first time he reports that, hey, I'm a werewolf and that's what happened here, is when he gets caught with an underage prostitute. Do with that information what you will. We're going to go forward now.
Behavior spread as far as rural Connecticut, where authors Lorraine and Ed Warren were intrigued. The Warrens had
Here they come to wreck the day. The fucking Warrens.
Documented over 7,000 cases of the paranormal, and for the past 24 years, lectured on demonology at major universities worldwide.
Like I told Lorraine, I said, Lorraine, I'm not going to go before the public and start talking about a werewolf. I said, it's going to be interesting to go there, see what we can do to help this man, but that's about it.
Until them dollar signs started flashing, because there's a book deal here, there's a story you can tell to the newspapers and the news. Yeah, there's this could be lucrative to you, Ed. Don't give up on the werewolf angle just yet.
He felt that that was just stretching our credibility just a little too far.
Says the psychic medium. Who, I'm not going to bring that up yet, but, you know. You think someone who's psychic would know when their spouse is having an affair kind of situation. But I'll save that for another episode, because there's an episode that's going to tie directly to about the Warrens. So if you like scandal, if you want scandal about the Warrens, this is your home. On Charlatan's Web, we're going to tackle it all. Actually, matter of fact, I'm going to update my stuff in here to match the theme. So there will be an update to the backgrounds and stuff. I'm really enjoying doing this series. I don't know if this is the time slot it's going to stay in, but I'm really enjoying putting this together and researching for this stuff. And to be able to shed light on people like Bishop Sean Manchester, the closet Nazi, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the snake oil salesman here, Stephen Greer, the psychic guru, right? It's all nonsense.
To believe in werewolves, but I believe.
The Warrens went to England to investigate Ramsey's case. They had many questions. Was Ramsey a common criminal? Was he mentally ill? Or was he really a werewolf, possessed by what they believed was the devil? They spoke with Inspector...
That's one thing you got to understand about the Warrens from the right out of the gate, is that everything is the devil. They will put the devil into everything.
Tony Belford, who was there the night Ramsey tried to murder a fellow officer.
Maya.
What I actually saw that night.
Hey, Maya, we're talking about werewolves tonight and those who grift about them. So we have a man with what so far appears to be a drinking problem, where when he drinks, he turns into a werewolf. He gets all beastie and bites his friends and attacks underage prostitutes, or inexplicably in the front seat of his car. Yes, this is live. I am live. I started a new weekly show. I since I lost that job at Trans Perfect, I've moved over to try to make more money over here on YouTube if I can. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing these, doing yet another weekly stream. And people turn out better for live streams than they do for premieres. So I've just dropped the premieres completely. Everything, the CrypticCorner and the Weekend Weird, that's all going to be just released. Weekend Weird's on Wednesday and CrypticCorner's tonight. It's at 10 o'clock p.m. So it'll be long after this is over. But this is live. Yeah. I am live, and every week we're going to be doing this. I have a schedule for these Charlatan's Webs. I need to have you on too, because after this episode, now that I've kind of tested the water and kind of felt out what I want to do with the program, I do want to have you on too, Maya. And you can't say no, because you owe me. I've come on your show a bazillion times, don't you know? I'm a regular over on Bad Science Sunday, and I promote Bad Science Sunday. So if you don't watch Bad Science Sunday, then it's not my fault. You need to get your shit together. You need to reflect on that. You need to look inside and find out why you're not watching Bad Science Sunday. Is it because of the magnets? If that's the reason, then just say so. Just be honest with yourself. But next week, I'm having... I am having Patty and Nancy on for the David Greer episode where we talk about and I've talked about it before on the channel, but we're going to revisit it as part of this series. Dr. Stephen Greer and the CE5 meditation UFO cult, which they don't think they're a cult, but they're a cult. I mean, yeah. Anyway, and after that, the week after that, the Friday after that, we're doing, we'll have Todd Standing, which is the Sylvanic Bigfoot guy and all the scandal wrapped up in his alleged claims. But things are open after that. If there's a favorite grifter with a grift that they have some kind of secret knowledge that you would like to dive into, Maya, let me know and we'll crack that open. I need to ask the sisters back before they get too big and forget who I am. Yeah. Just Nancy can be there. Okay, so Patty's not going to be there. Patty will have to watch later in post-production. Hey, Zebra.
I couldn't really understand what it was. All I knew that it was something I'd never witnessed before. It was not natural behavior.
That night, Bill Ramsey became confused and lost control. He picked up a prostitute and without explanation...
They are going to talk about the prostitute. Okay, I thought they were going to skip over it like it was nothing.
Drove her to the police station.
So I took the prostitute inside, leaving Sergeant Terry Fisher out in the yard with Ramsey.
He had these mad, staring eyes. And
that's the dude he took down. Yeah. Hey, Ben.
Expression. That's all I can describe it as. But the worst thing was what he was saying, and it was said in a very malevolent way. And I'll quote from the report I made shortly afterwards. He was saying, "The devil is in me. When the devil is in me, I am strong. I'm going to kill you. I am strong, and you are going to die."
Ramsey lunged for the sergeant's throat. Fisher, unarmed, responded with a powerful knee to the groin.
He sort of went,
that's how you take down a werewolf. Have you ever watched that scene from Monster Squad? Now I got to pull that up. Hold on. Because Wolfman's got nards. I feel obligated to pull it up now. Here. Monster Squad. It's only 15 seconds.
Kick him in the nose! Kick him in the nose! He doesn't have nose! Do it! Do it! Wolfman's got nards! Come on! Come on!
That was like my favorite childhood quote ever. Wolfman's got nards.
and crouched down, and he shrugged it off again and became stronger.
And when I came out into the yard, I saw Terry Fisher on the floor, just over this location, with Bill Ramsey sitting on top of him with his hands around his throat.
Then there were bobbies that came to their sergeant's aid, and he threw them off in their...
Says Lorraine Warren, who wasn't even fucking there. What are you cutting this grifter for? She wasn't there.
Words like they were magic.
Yeah, I attract the cool people. I need to attract the not cool people too, though, because I need a bigger audience than 9 people for this. But hopefully, I mean, this is only the second episode in this time slot, and it's Friday night, and it's 4th of July. People are out doing fireworks and shit tonight, so I'm just happy that we have anybody here at all.
A little voice back here said, "Terence, you come unstuck this time."
And when you see the size of this ex-police officer, you'll say to yourself, what scared him so much? Why this one experience? Because he's seen...
Someone almost killing you is a good enough reason to say, you know what, maybe this isn't the right line of work for me. I'm okay with that. I'm down with that. I support Terrence here. The grift must flow. You're not wrong.
Something that very few people ever see.
It's very...
We've seen the
It's very pale ale, Ben. Very, very pale ale. Jabberwock. Woo!
Transfiguration of a man into a wolf.
It took 5 officers to subdue Bill Ramsey, who was not under the influence of any drugs.
When I say he snarled and he growled, it was an impression of his lips turning up and showing his teeth. And
yeah, this is as patriotic as I get. My Old Navy shirt.
I can recollect actually saying at the time in the reports that I filed that he took on the appearance of a mad dog.
Like a caged animal, Ramsey tried
Which is the first time that this werewolf idea got into the public eye.
to escape.
His head, right arm, up to his shoulder was outside this hole.
Got stuck in the doggy door. There was a time when I would have been able to fit through there. When I would have been such a skinny bitch, I could have fit through there. But not this day. Not today.
It's difficult to actually visualize a head and an arm out there, but I can assure you, I saw it, 5 or 6 firemen saw it, doctor saw it, and I would suggest up to 7 or 8 policemen saw it.
Did he get stuck?
Could believe
Did he get stuck in there? Sounds like he got stuck. A lot of people saw it.
what we'd actually seen.
Finally, Ramsey was heavily sedated, soaked with liquid soap, and squeezed back through the hole. Badly shaken, Officer Fisher took early retirement. Inspector Belford was left to account for Ramsey's bizarre behavior.
I submit this report for your information and to have recorded the fact that it is in my opinion that this man will, if not controlled, end up causing fatal or serious injury to some person.
Criminal
Which does not mean that he is an actual werewolf, by the way. And clinical lycanthropy is a whole other thing. I'm not even sure he has clinical lycanthropy. You know, he might. There are accounts of clinical lycanthropy. It's more of a suite of conditions where people think that they're an animal of some kind. But when it comes to Bill Ramsey's case, it keeps tying back to him drinking too much. I mean, every single time. He's had too many.
Charges were not filed. Instead, Bill Ramsey was committed to a mental hospital.
Everybody thought I had a mental problem. It just didn't seem right. But I had no other answer.
I never blow shit up, Kip. I don't know what you're talking about, and I do not have any kind of plans to blow anything up. I just want to make that clear at this point in my life. Okay, I just need to put that out there. A little concerned. Why does my hat feel all weird? Hey! Tangle these charlatans up and expose the fucking lies. Thank you, apostate sisters. Love you, Patty.
And say, well, it's not a mental problem. So, well, you do this normally then, do you? Does everybody, is this normal behaviour? Of course it was a mental problem. Where else could they send me? There was nowhere else.
After psychiatric tests failed to pinpoint the source of Ramsey's behavior, he was released.
What is left? The paranormal, the unknown.
See, that's what Ed thinks. What's left? What am I drinking? It's Imperial India Pale Ale called Jabberwocky. And it's got a critter on the front of it. It was a gift from Ben. Thank you, Dr. Ben. I think it was a gift from Ben. I might have got this one. I know I got one at one point. But
and that's where we come
this one might.
Warren's told me that it wasn't a mental illness. I had no mental illness. I was possessed, demonically possessed with a wolf spirit. Oh, God. Oh, I've heard it all. And he kind of closed the evening with, would you come to the USA and be exercised? Exercise? Come on. some absolute...
Yeah, so Ed Warren shows up. Well, the Warrens show up, and they track down our hero of the story. Well, hero of the story. They track down Bill, right? And they say, Bill, we think you're possessed. Because the way the newspapers reported on it and stuff about his episode, where he had his blackout and was attacking people, and reported on it as him being beast-like and growling and snarling like a werewolf. And the media clutched onto it, started this Werewolf of London craze, right? And then the local reporters interviewed him about it for a documentary, which Lorraine saw in the U.S., right? So Bill did a documentary, presumably getting paid to do the documentary. I don't know for sure, but presumably getting paid to do it. And you can see clips of it and stuff out. I haven't found the whole thing, but there's clips of it out there. It's basically him telling the same story he's telling here, though, just with on location or whatever, and with less details. So Lorraine Warren sees this case on TV and decides that it's a good grift to get involved in. My dog also hates fireworks, not the abomination of the Philistines, my sweet old Labrador. Not Dagon, doggone. Can a werewolf be paper trained? Presumably. A lot of people have triggers like that, Sandy. A lot of people do. Not a good day for anybody with any kind of gun trauma, right? Consider starting a super chat contest, but I hear Bree gets more of the proceeds using the links in her Hive link. Consider a tip. Yeah, I would appreciate that. The fastest way to get funds to me is going to be the Buy Me Coffee link. That's the fastest way to give me some money, because I'm once again out of work, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I'm out of work completely. I still got this going for me, and I do also make some adult content. What I say is I push my bra strap back up and show off my cute shoulders. So if you're into that sort of thing. It's my least favorite day of the year. Yeah, and I'm feeling less patriotic this year than I have in a long time. Forest critters dislike them. Yeah, they've started a lot of fires too. All right, back to the werewolf, because werewolves are cooler than fireworks.
Rubbish they were giving me here. But
actually, let me redact that, because I love fireworks in chemistry, in the practice of chemistry. I like that different metals light up different ways and cause different reactions and stuff. This one crackles, and this one sparkles, and this one bangs. This one's red, and this one's green. I like that. I do. I really do. I appreciate the beauty of it. But I cannot understand why we have a whole day dedicated to it. It's neat science. It's like if we had a day where everybody did elephant toothpaste, it'd just be weird, right? But we have a day where everybody just blows stuff up with fireworks. It's bizarre. Elephant toothpaste would be awesome. Can we switch it up? Can we switch the holiday up so instead of fireworks that we do elephant toothpaste on 4th of July? I know that there's a drone show in Roswell tonight that's supposed to be amazing. I hope drone shows replace fireworks, actually. All right, back to the werewolf.
I'd been through all the other avenues, remember?
Had you been through all the other avenues, though? Because I think you met the Warrens at a pub. I think one of the avenues would be, hey, every time I drink, this happens. But you met the Warrens at a pub. Just throwing that out there.
British newspaper paid Bill Ramsey $20,000 for the rights to his story. His private ordeal...
There's a good reason to to have a werewolf experience. I actually argued with the Google search AI, the one that comes up when you type in a command. So I was trying to find out which outlet gave him the 20K. And it argued with me that none of them did. I'm like, everywhere I look says he got 20K for his story. I just wanted to know who. And it's the People's tabloid.
Was now a public spectacle to be played out in rural Connecticut. It was here that the Warrens introduced him to Bishop Richard McKenna, a priest who had performed the dangerous...
Oh, a new player on the field. New player on the field. Let's look at this guy. Did that say Richard McKenna? Because it's Robert McKenna. I got to remind everybody, this is where we're going from here. Just real quick before I jump. I've got another hour still of this to go, but of werewolf stuff to go. But we're going to pop back over and see if he said Richard McKenna, because it sounded like he said Richard.
It was here that the Warrens introduced him to Bishop Richard McKenna, a priest.
Because it's Robert McKenna. This is the guy. I mean, as far as I can tell, let me see if there is a Richard McKenna. But that looks like him. No, it still gives you Robert McKenna. So the documentary is wrong there. Robert Fedelice McKenna. And you can see him. He's in the documentary. Again, look at these hot chicks right here. I keep popping back over to them. I don't mean to, but I can't resist. They're like, my eyes are drawn to beautiful women.
Priest who had performed the dangerous ritual of exorcism many times before.
Yeah. Tell me, I mean, that's the guy. This is the guy, right? It's not me. It is Robert McKenna we're looking at here. And he is an exorcist. And he's associated with the Warrens. McKenna participated in a number of exorcisms and worked for many years with demonologist Dave Considine and Rama Kumaswamy. So I need to do an episode on them too at some point. Don't let me forget. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is copy their names here. I'm going to put it in my notes. Put it right here in my notes right now so that I have it. Come on, notes. Pull up. Don't be a bitch. What are you doing? There we go. There you are. Okay. It's just their names. I'm just putting them in there so don't forget. Some of his cases were also investigated by psychic researchers such as the Warrens. He attempted exorcisms in the Smurl haunting, which is a famous haunting, which we will probably do an episode on at some point as well. Because these people overlap so much, which was the case described in various books in the Fox TV movie, The Haunted. Another exorcism he performed in 1985 in Warren, Massachusetts, was featured in the Boston Herald and later recounted by the same reporter in the book Satan's Harvest. A spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Hartford said that whatever ritual was performed on the boy was not sanctioned by the Roman Catholic Church and therefore could not be called an exorcism. Because our homie Robert McKenna operates outside of the Catholic Church. He is indeed a rogue operative of the Catholic Church. And this was in 1998 that they said, hey, no, we didn't authorize this. This guy went rogue. He's a rogue exorcist. Tell me that's not a movie character. Why have we not seen the Robert McKenna files? Is it because he's not handsome? We could put Idris Elba in here. I'm into that. Idris Elba could play him. Or Pedro Pascal. Yeah, I keep thinking of people that aren't white. A white guy that's attractive. Let me see. that could fill this role. Val Kilmer's dead. Val Kilmer would have been perfect, but he's dead. Val Kilmer can character act like a motherfucker, too. You ever hear about his little Mark Twain experiment that he did? And he was like, yeah, I'm fucking Mark Twain he's in full makeup. Can we exercise our government? I hope so. Anyway. Furthermore, he believes that the official establishment does not believe in the devil, but the devil believes in them. They do not believe. When they do, they won't want to get involved. And that's his rebuttal to the Catholic Church saying, no, we didn't authorize you to do any kind of exorcisms, brah. What are you talking about?
You need to be exercised, no question about that. I would think that being possessed by the devil is the worst evil that could befall anyone.
I didn't know what to expect. And when you enter in a realm of the unknown, you're obviously...
So, I am just getting in the headspace. So it's the 1980s, so it's before Brexit and all that, before the EU was even really a thing. So, I have the opportunity to finance an exorcism. And I could fly to Rome. And get an exorcism by the Catholic Church. Or I could go to America and get exorcism by some rogue exorcist attached to Protestant demonologist. Which am I going to pick? And Rome's a lot closer. It's going to be a lot cheaper to get to Rome.
Very, very scared.
Since Ramsey had shown superhumans...
The gooberment, they try to put some mint on it to make that goober go down better, but it still tastes nasty to me.
Strength. 6 bodyguards with stun guns protected the bishop. Rare still photos are the only visual record of the exorcism.
Lord permitted, the devil could easily kill.
Now, there was a video, but it was lost in the big fire that the Warrens lost all their evidence in. They had a big fire in like the 80s at some point that they lost all their evidence in. Apparently. But they did have 6 guys standing by with stun guns to taser a man who recently, within the last 10 years, went to the hospital reporting heart trouble. They have these men standing by with stun guns at his exorcism. Oh, so we're all on the same page here?
The exorcist, as I proceeded with the prayers, he didn't seem to be himself. It was just some other person were taking over him. He himself seemed to almost go into a kind of a...
I'd have a hard time. My demons, I know them well. They've been living with me for decades. Are going to have a hard time responding to being behind me shaking. Get behind me. He needs to project his voice like a proper exorcist. Behind me, Satan! Yeah. Like that.
Age.
It started from behind him, and the muscles in the back of the neck all began to enlarge, and the ears began to point, and he...
Evidence, Lorraine? If he started to shapeshift into a werewolf during the exorcism, which you had evidence that there were cameras on hand for, please provide that evidence. And if not, then say I saw in my mind's eye or some shit, because, yeah, clairvoyance can get by with that. So go ahead and put it in your mind's eye. Hey, Ian. Hey, Kristen.
howled.
He had begun to make the signs of the cross on his forehead and on his breast, and then he would violently react and snap his hand at me, and then he snarled like an animal.
The lips rolled up, the teeth protruded, and he tried to fight.
The devil did leave him. He came to himself.
As I came out the exorcism,
So I can turn into a werewolf too. Watch. Try not to be scared. Okay. See? So normal people can do that too. I'm not actually a werewolf. But don't tell my people on OnlyFans because they're expecting a certain caliber of content. But, yeah, growling and burying your teeth does not mean you're a werewolf. It doesn't mean you're possessed by the devil.
you feel that you're a new person.
The man was freed. The man was freed.
I felt I wanted to kiss him, kiss Bishop McKenna, because what he...
Big Zebra was almost correct. Instead of a belly rub, though, he wanted to be a good boy. He'll be a good Billy. Good Billy. Oh. Yeah, I'm glad that my adult content link pops up when I start talking about that, too. Then I'm a werewolf. And I eat cheeseburger.
Done. I believe that I was ultimately possessed by the devil, yeah.
Was Bill Ramsey mentally ill or the victim of demonic possession? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear. What the police, psychiatrists, and his family...
Was the demon an Indian pale ale? Yum, it's pretty good.
Couldn't help. The exorcism did. Ramsey returned home to England, and in the 3 years since his exorcism, Bill Ramsey has not had a single violent episode.
Right. Now, he did some other interviews later in life where he sort of dismissed the idea that he was that he was possessed by a werewolf. He thought it was a psychosomatic thing. But what are we gonna do next? Let's see. Let's tackle this real quick. This is it's robot voices, but this is the best video and the only one I could find from a channel that actually looked like it took psychology seriously and wasn't doing folklore.
Welcome to my channel, Psychology Today. Clinical lycanthropy. Clinical lycanthropy is a rare mental disorder in which a person believes they have the ability to transform into a wolf or another animal.
Now, that's something we do want to pinpoint here, too, or another animal. So it doesn't have to be a wolf, though other animals do have their own anthropies. Like a cat would be an allothropy because you use the Greek, or allothropy because you use the Greek word for cat, right? So you'd be an allothrope if you turned into a werecat. But the whole psychological, clinical lycanthropy can be any animal. It doesn't have to be a wolf, even though lycan is the word for wolf. It derives from not the animal, not the name of the animal itself, but the transformation of King Laocoon from Greek mythology, that Zeus turned into a beast and set off into the wild, right? And he lived in the wild as a beast for a year, or was it? I don't know. Somebody who knows Greek mythology better than I can look that up. But he was turned into a beast. That's where the lycan and lycanthropy comes from. So it doesn't have to be a wolf. It can be any animal. But a werewolf specifically can also be a lycanthrope. But other were animals can have specific names, like, again, allothropy or ursothropy, or would it be arctothropy? Yeah, it'd be arctothropy, wouldn't it? It'd be arctothropy. That sounds kind of cool. You werebear. What would I be if I was a were animal? Let's do a poll. I'm gonna start a poll. And there's a right answer. So we'll do. There we go. Sorry, silence is golden, but not when you're streaming, I know. So go ahead and vote on the poll.
The disorder is distinguished by a strong belief in one's ability to transform into an animal, which is accompanied by physical transformational feelings such as changes in body hair, sensations of fangs or claws, and even changes in behavior and personality. The disorder...
What if you have the sensation of a rattlesnake tail? Sometimes when I'm twerking, I feel like I envision I have a rattlesnake tail that I'm trying to make sound. So that inspires my twerking. Does that mean I am a lycanthropic rattlesnake? But yeah, jokes aside, yeah, claws and stuff like that. But also, you can be any animal. So it could be horns, it could be hooves, it could be scales. I don't know, gills.
It is classified as a type of psychosis, and it is frequently associated with other mental illnesses, such as...
No, for me, you got to pick what animal I would be. I already know what animal you are. You're a mama bear, Sandy. All the bears in the neighborhood know it.
schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. It is a rare condition, with only a few cases documented in the medical literature. The origins of the disorder are not well understood, but it is believed to have a psychological or cultural origin.
So again, what that means is that if you are raised in a culture where werewolves are part of the cultural reality, you may indeed believe you are becoming a werewolf, right? So if you were raised in a culture where werewolves are a thing, you can very much become a werewolf. Cocaine bear is a thing, probably. Close enough. Yeah. A were-care bear. Oh, you'd be so cute as a were-care bear, Patty. Which Care Bear was your favorite? I love Bedtime Bear. I really do. My roommate cosplays as Bedtime Bear, and I love it. Bo, you are the cutest Bedtime Bear ever. If you all ever seen Bo, he's got super cute cheeks, so it really goes with the whole Care Bear vibe. I love it so much. But I digress. My favorite Care Bear, I have to think about it. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, you can tell me now. I think you're on to something there. Cocaine bear is a thing. I haven't done cocaine in years. I can't be prosecuted because I was a minor.
Some theories suggest that the disorder is related to cultural beliefs or werewolf legends, while others suggest that it is the result of a traumatic experience or a coping mechanism for dealing with emotional stress. What is the root cause of clinical lycanthropy? Some experts think it's caused by delusional misidentification syndromes, DMS. This is a group of disorders in which people fail to recognize familiar objects or believe that they have been transformed. According to other experts, clinical lycanthropy could be the result of a culture-bound syndrome, which is a mental illness or...
Culture-bound syndrome is also a hell of a band name that nobody has used yet. I checked. When I first heard that term, I was like, let me look and see if anybody's used this for their band yet.
Unusual behaviors influenced by cultural norms or surroundings. Clinical lycanthropy patients appear to share additional characteristics. They could be suffering from a serious mental illness, such as bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or psychotic depression.
I have one of those. I should do a poll and see if you guys can guess which one. I'm so bad.
They may use hallucinogenic drugs, consume alcohol, or suffer from epilepsy. What are clinical lycanthropy symptoms? Signs could include: when you look in the mirror, you claim to see physical changes in your body, like your teeth lengthening, claws, or your hair growing. Making growling, howling, or other animal noises. Having a craving for or eating raw meat. All fours walking.
I don't know what that was.
How's it treated?
I can walk on all fours now. It's because I used to when I was younger, though.
Clinical lycanthropy is typically treated with medications such as antipsychotics to alleviate psychotic symptoms and therapy to address
So, are you guys answering this as what creature you would be? or what creature I would be. Let me know, because if you're guessing what creature you'll be, that'll change how I look at the polls. Because for me, hyena was the right answer. I would be a hyena. But for what you guys would be, it looks like I got wolves and cats and bears, if that's what we're answering. A hyena is a good cross between a wolf and a cat, too. So you're not wrong there. I would be a hyena. What? How is it not everyone wants to be a werebear? Because I am a hyena, because in the hyena clans, who's the top dog? It's a bitch like me, right? A hot chick with a big old energy to lead. Yeah, look up hyenas and you'll understand.
Underlying emotional or psychological issues. Patients may be treated with hypnosis or suggestion in some cases to help them overcome their belief in their ability to transform into an animal. It's important to remember...
Is there a way to develop a belief that I'm transforming into an animal? Because that seems like a better way to live my life than what I'm doing right now. If I could live it as a hyena... I don't have to be a hyena though. I'll be something cuter. Can I be a moth? Or do I have to be a furry? Does it have to be a furry animal? I think I can be a bird or a snake or a reptile. What if I'm a crocodile? Gotta explain the crocodile hunter hat.
That lycanthropy is a mental disorder, not a physical condition. A human cannot transform into an animal, and those who believe they can do so should seek professional assistance.
All right. So, and it is in the, clinical lycanthropy is in, the DSM-5. It's a real condition, unlike AGP. So, I like to remind the TERFs of that when they come at me with, AGP, that's the condition. It's like, you know what? It's not in the documents, and there's no diagnosis code for AGP. You know, there's a diagnosis code for clinical lycanthropy. There's a diagnosis code for being a werewolf, but not being trans. Doesn't that kind of imply to you that it's not a mental illness, bitch? Doesn't it, though? And as Milo says, y'all know Milo. Put that in your J.K. Rowling pipe and smoke it. And they also pinpoint cultural causes for clinical lycanthropy. So the belief in werewolves is important to clinical lycanthropy. It's very similar to, I guess, what you would call clinical Wendigo syndrome, which, it's also comes with similar vicious activity, but at that point, it's from a starving person who loses their mind in that way from hunger and ends up eating other people. But regardless, there's a lot of correlation. So they also quote on here kynanthropy, which is the Greek word for canine, which is I've always seen it spelled with a C, though. It's kind of weird to see it spelled with a K. I guess that's for pronunciation reasons, but that you get transformed into a dog. So I do puppy girl sometimes. So maybe that's proof. That's proof of it. Associated diagnoses were schizophrenic, psychotic depression, bipolar disorder, and other psychotic disorders. And if you didn't guess, yeah, I have bipolar disorder. I actually used to be part of a online support group of us YouTubers who have bipolar disorder, who help support each other, especially when things get rough. It was run by Oz, DJ Oz, but we don't do it anymore. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I need it, though. Anyway, so that's clinical lycanthropy. But this is how you grift on it. This is the Warrens on Seekers.
Welcome to BBC One. No, ladies and gentlemen, you're not listening to London's BBC One. You're watching your local cable access program. My name's Tony Sparrow. With Ed and Lorraine Warren tonight on Seekers of the Supernatural. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you may be wondering why I'm wearing this intriguing case. So I'd like to start out with Ed, if I could first. Ed, can you tell us about this actual case of lycanthropy?
Well, this is the first case of a werewolf, or lycanthropy, which is the scientific name for it, that we ever came across in 45 years of investigations. Lorraine and I were at a friend's home, and we were speaking and talking, fooling around. All of a sudden, my attention was drawn to the fact that there was another Werewolf in London picture on.
Now, you notice that the origin story of how they found out about this changes.
I thought, my God, they made another one? But this was different. It was on sightings, and I looked at it, and I was watching these police officers, real London police officers, talking about being attacked by a real werewolf.
So now Ed takes credit for it, right? In the previous documentary that we watched, even though they got the bishop's name wrong or whatever, did you ever answer what Care Bear you would be, Patty? I need to know. Cheer Bear, of course. That checks out. A were-bree? Oh no, does that mean Maya's going to turn into a me? Your dad has schizophrenia? Oh my God, is that an insect in your medallion? I have yeah, I have, this is a cardinal spider. And then, it's supposed to be a cardinal spider anyway. It might just be a house spider. They're the same genus. And then I have my belt, because I got this whole Hellscape Cowgirl thing going on with a scorpion in it. So I'm not wearing it right now because I'm not out doing anything. I wore it when I went out on at Pride Night, though, the Pride Crawl. It was lit. I had so much fun. Why go to PetSmart? Just go to the meat section of your grocery store. What, Sandy? You dare, are you saying dear me, or I would love to go out and commune with Yina Lushi. I'm not that far from the Four Corners area where I could go have an experience with some skinwalkers. I tried to get in touch with some skinwalkers a long time ago on Reddit and on a few forums, but I couldn't get any of them to talk to me. I couldn't even find any of them. And anytime I would try to get some Navajo people to put me in contact with some that they know, it's like, oh no, can't do that. Oh, you were answering Big Zebra. Why can't we buy werewolf food at PetSmart? Okay. But I would love to talk to someone, whether they were Yina Lushi or a some other form of skinwalker, or a werewolf, one of the African leopard men, any of those people, anything like that. If you can get in contact with me and we can have a conversation like this on video, all these people in the audience here can vouch for me that I'm very accommodating. I'm not going to be like volatile towards you or anything. Get in contact with me. Leave a comment on this video. I want to talk to you about your experience. Oh, that would be cool. Sneak in cans of werewolf food and leave them at PetSmart. Woo! And then Henry howled back there. That's cute.
And I looked at Lorraine and I said,
Demonologist Ed.
What do you think about this? And so as we watched, we realized that this man was the first case of lycanthropy that we ever had come across. So we took it so seriously that we flew to California. We talked with the producers of the show. They told us, yes, that Bill Ramsey was considered a real-life werewolf. And so then we flew to England, and we talked with Bill Ramsey, and I talked and interviewed the police officers who were actually attacked by this man. Now, he stands about 5'7", he weighs maybe 150 pounds, but he would take...
There is a medical condition that people grow hair all over them. Let me make sure I got it pulled up here so I can say it right. I know the common name for it is sometimes called Wolfman condition, or Wolfman syndrome, but it's called hypertrichosis. Hypertrichosis is the name for it. But Bill Ramsey doesn't have that. but it is important to werewolf mythos. You're absolutely right. So let's look at it real quick. So this is another condition that may have led to or built on the mythos about werewolves. It's an abnormal amount of hair growth over the body with two distinct types. Hypertrichosis or generalized hypertrichosis, which occurs over the entire body, and localized hypertrichosis, which is in a restricted certain area. Hypertrichosis can be either congenital, which means you were born with it, or acquired later in life. The excess growth of hair occurs in areas of the skin, with the exception of androgen-dependent hair of the pubic area, face, and axillary regions. Several circus sideshow performers in the 19th and early 20th century, such as Julia Pastrana, had hypertrichosis. Many of them worked as freaks and were promoted to have distinct human and animal traits. But moving on.
Some of these bobbies, who were well over 6 foot, over 200 pounds, he'd throw them around like they were kindling wood. And the stories that they told us about this man were incredible. How he would ask to be locked up.
Mm-hmm. They get paid thousands of dollars for these interviews. That's where they get that money, Zebra. Stuff like this. Like Bill Ramsey got $20,000 just for his werewolf story. Him. The Warrens have written books about it at this point. They've done milked it for all it's worth. They've got, I think it was their last big book was the Werewolf book in like 1991. Just gotta think they've been around since like 1952 writing books, though.
Jail cell for his protection and the protection of the public. Now, the people out there listening to us right now are probably saying, come on, what are you talking about? A werewolf. Well, I think by the end of this program, they'll realize that Bill Ramsey was a real-life werewolf. But it was Lorraine, really, that talked me into going into London.
That's I understand that Lorraine was instrumental in getting both of you involved in this case. Lorraine, can you tell us what happened?
For someone, Tony, that was never interested in things like ghouls and werewolves and vampirism, those things never really interested me. Things like ghosts and haunted
They really interest me, Lorraine.
Homes. Yes, I was more open to the fact where human spirits were concerned and the fact that homes could be haunted in such a manner.
I like human spirits and vampires and werewolves and ghouls. I can like it all, bitch. Get off. Step back. She died in 2019, by the way. So she could actually be standing here with me right now. I'm just saying, her ghost could be here. And I could be arguing. And we could be throwing hands. Come on, you old charlatan bitch. Not going to happen.
But there was something in the interview that day as we watched that television show in the friend's home after dinner that I looked at that man and knew that that was very sincere, that something was very real, and something inside of me, Tony, told me that I could help him.
But you didn't see this coming. Oh, see how I pretended like I wasn't going to fight her, and then I did?
Now, how I could help him, I really didn't know. But I carried it, according to family and friends, Tony, I carried it to extreme. We went to California, and to get the information regarding the exact production company that produced that particular series on that werewolf was very, very, very
difficult. Why is the closed caption like,
different exercises to get
I don't know what this lady is saying.
That point to know even where that film was produced.
Exactly, and then I purchased it for a good sum of money, and that really angered her.
She's got. If it wasn't for cheap shots, Lorraine Warren would have nothing at all.
Paid that much money for a video of that interview.
I understand also that Ed really wasn't too keen on the idea.
No, I told her, I said, even if we find out that this man really is a werewolf, I'm not going to go before the public and start talking about a werewolf. Ghosts and haunted houses and demons and devils are bad enough. But now a werewolf and in London, who would believe it?
Really?
But it actually occurred.
See, when we got
Demonologist. Clairvoyant, demonologist. These people are obviously
home. When we got back to Connecticut from California, Tony, I must have played that tape so many times, and I tried to listen to every little thing, but the most important thing were the patches that the men wore, because that was the tip-off that helped me to be able to know. There are 52 precincts in southern London.
Oh, she's going to tell her story about
werewolf. I said, they're going to take her away for sure.
No, I didn't really ask them about a werewolf. I said, I understand you had a case of lycanthropy in the area of southern London.
How many cops would know what lycanthropy is?
I know, really.
But they would say, they were always very, very nice. They were reserved and they were nice to me. And they would say things like, we don't know anything.
Yeah, from Lorraine Warren over here. The ghost of Lorraine Warren standing over my shoulder. Go away! Don't make me get out the salt. I have a little salt packet from my baked potato earlier, so don't make me do it, Lorraine. Lorraine.
Thing about your case of lycanthropy, but you sure made our night.
Can you imagine walking into an American police station?
I've had people tell me that too. Never cops though. Yuck. Yuck. The implications.
I'd like to know.
Sorry.
About your werewolf in this area.
But it was the following morning, Tony, after, kind of an exhausting night, that we checked out of our hotel, and we were waiting for a flight to come in with some other researchers who were joining us. And the flight was going to be late. It was a Pan Am flight. It was going to be late. And so I went back in the hotel lobby, and all of the phone numbers that I was able to get from all of these police precincts that I went to, I started calling numbers. I got a fistful of change, and I started using the phone. And finally, out of all of the numbers, I called this one number, and I said to the party on the other end, I find it very difficult to believe that something as outstanding as this, and I know it took place, happened in this area, but no police are able to help me. Now, why I directed it in that manner on that one phone call, I really don't have the answer. But he said, just let me switch your call. And the next voice I heard was, this is Detective Sergeant Peter Hamilton. And I said to him,
just Lorraine, making out like this is some kind of big adventure that she's going on is so silly.
Well, boy, we're off to a right start.
But I guess it was the 80s, so it was harder to track someone down. But if you talked to the producers in California who did the In Search Of episode, and then they told you where the guy was, why'd you have to go leaping all over the country or all over London looking for the right precinct?
You have the same last name.
The story always changes, though, every time.
As my mom's maiden name. Now, of course, that's difficult to do with the British, to be quite that bold and forward.
Very reserved.
And jovial about it. Yeah.
Yes, and...
did it work?
Which is like a carpenter here. He was working at that time. At the time we met him, he was working... He's a man who lives in town, respected guy, nice wife.
What do you do for a living, Bill Ramsey?
He's a joiner, which is like a carpenter here. He was working at that time. At the time we met him, he was working on the Dartford Tunnel, which is...
A joiner, like, yeah, joining two joints of wood together.
It's part of the London orbital. And so I'm talking to him for quite a while, and I said to him, Detective Sergeant, I'd love to come and meet you. And he said to me, where are you? I says, I'm in London. He said, I'm in Southend-on-Sea, which is a distance from you. Mm-hmm. But he said, I really couldn't talk with you until I got permission from my governor. And I said, but you are talking.
Permission to speak, Governor. Hello, Victoria.
To me.
Right.
And he said, that's what I love, is assertive American women. So he said, give me the phone number where you're going to be staying.
Yeah. He was flirting with your girl right there in front of you, Ed. What are you going to do about it?
So I said to him, well, when we leave London, we're going up to the North Sea. We're going to be staying in Hunstanton, which is a Norfolk area, to maybe 2 hours drive outside. And where we were staying, at Sheila Twitty Smith's, where you have stayed with us, Tony, on many occasions, as we were resting in our room. The second phone call he made, we were having a third phone call.
I don't want your life story, Lorraine.
I don't want to disturb you.
And the third phone call I overheard and went to take the call. And we went down there. Now, that day, they introduced us to Bill and Nina Ramsey. A beautiful couple. She works for immigration, and he was respected man. They had grown children in college, and they had a family dog.
Mm-hmm.
Now
and he drove a cab. He was a carpenter, but his job that he was doing at this time was driving a cab. He was a cab driver. I mean, I'm certified to weld, but I don't say, oh, I'm a welder, right? Because I'm not welding right now. I'm not working as a welder.
That family dog.
The dog's name wasn't Wolfbatch.
No, it was Shadow.
Oh, Shadow. Okay.
Shadow.
You know, I have to tell you, though, Terry Fisher was a sergeant on the English Police Department. He was one of the ones who was attacked by Bill Ramsey. Now, this guy stands about 6'3", weighs about 250. Good shape. When I went to his house and I said, I would like you to come over to the pub with us when we interview Bill Ramsey. Mm-hmm. And he said, there's no way that I would go near that man. He said, I don't care if there's 100 police around, I would not go near him. I came as close, he said, to dying as I ever did.
That's the cop that he was choking out, right? He lost his shit and choked out with the prostitute when he had the prostitute. So, I keep saying prostitute. I'm probably getting my channel demonetized. It's got a little disclaimer underneath it explaining what a prostitute is. But he quit after this. I would, if someone lost their shit and almost killed me, I would be pretty shook up too.
In any of my experiences in the police department. He would not go near him. I interviewed 2 other police officers. They would not go near Bill Ramsey. And I'm thinking, this guy must be pretty bad. And here we are, we're going to go interview him, just Lorraine and I, in this pub. And I picked out the pub because I wanted it to be a public place. I didn't want to meet him in some lonely room someplace.
No.
And another thing was, later on when he came to America, and he was exercised by Bishop Robert McKenna of the traditional Catholic Church, Our Lady of the Rosary in Monroe, one of the holiest and pious men that you ever would meet. And he was the only man that we could think of that could...
Did he say Richard, too?
I didn't want to meet him in some lonely room someplace.
No.
And another thing was, later on when he came to America, and he was exercised by Bishop Robert McKenna of the traditional Catholic...
He says Robert. I don't know where Richard came from in that last documentary. That was weird.
Church, Our Lady of the Rosary in Monroe.
Shows how inconsistent this whole story is, though. I mean, how many inconsistencies have I picked out of this right now? Just saying. I mean, and again, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, but I'm saying that that there's counter evidence in the Bill Ramsey werewolf case. But there's counter evidence in almost everything that the Warrens report on, and we'll understand that as this series goes on, because we're going to cover a lot of charlatans here. Make sure you tune in next week while I have I'm going to have Nancy from the Apostate Sisters on, and we're going to be talking about CE3 or CE5. I keep getting it wrong. CE5 meditation cults. This is the UFO cult for Close Encounters. We've talked about it before on the channel, but I'd love to revisit it with some friends. So that's next week on this show. But we are going to have plenty more of the Ed and Lorraine Warren stuff. There's going to be tons more. They have case file after case file. And Charlatan's Web is all about overturning that. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you got the bell rung. Right now I'm doing this on Friday nights. That may not stick, but right now that works for me, or I should say Friday evenings, because I'm going to be done with my time. I'm in Mountain Time. I'm going to be done with this by 7. So I still have a whole night ahead of me after this. So it's fairly early for me. But if you're in jolly London town where this case takes place, we started at midnight. It's now 1:36 a.m. and the werewolves are prowling your streets.
Bro, one of the holiest and pious men that you ever would meet. And he was the only man that we could think of that could really bring peace to Bill Ramsey, free him of this wolf spirit.
Will somebody powder Ed's nose, please?
So we're there, and I'm talking with Bill in Boston. It's a television show. And they gave us adjoining rooms. And Lorraine said, we should leave the door open for Bill so he can walk in and out. I said, Lorraine, this guy went right through the bars of a jail cell, pushed his head, shoulder, and arm through a 12-inch space. I am not leaving that door open. I said,
even after he was exercised.
Here's 12 cops can't hold this guy down.
And you want
me to leave a door open for him? I said, no way.
But I want to tell you, Tony, you've met Bill Ramsey,
yes,
and he's a gentle, beautiful man.
When he's Bill Ramsey.
When he is Bill Ramsey. But during the exercise...
When he's the beast. It's like that movie, Switch. Yeah. He turns into the beast.
...of Bill on that July day in 1989 in that church.
It sounds like his nose has an
Anybody that's listening to this program right now that would find it difficult to believe that such things as a werewolf exist, they should have been in that church that day.
I think what we ought to do is show that.
I was going to say, I know you brought a film tonight to show the interview of Bill Ramsey. What I'd like to do, I'd like to show it if we could, and maybe talk over the film before it starts maybe, and just fill us in real quick what it's about.
Yeah, what we're doing here is now, Bill Ramsey's in our home. Kevin Hogan, who was with a local television station, was there with us. We're talking with him. And he's asking Bill about how all of this came about. Bill Ramsey tells him when he was a boy.
This sounds like a lot of people. It's after he's had too many drinks. My drink's almost gone. Or it is gone. Completely empty. It was good, though. We're going to play battle shots, though, so I don't want to drink too much.
An experience that he had one summer afternoon. It was a hot day. He was in the backyard of his home. His father was a soldier. I think they call him Master...
Major.
Major at Arms? Sergeant Major?
Sergeant Major.
Tough guy. And so young Bill went out...
You mean someone who's a military brat had emotional issues and trouble with anger when they were a child? You don't say.
To the backyard, and he said suddenly it became very icy cold.
I'm not trying to say that happens all the time, but that's kind of a common story, that the military lifestyle where you move around and children can't settle down and form a social group, it affects their emotions. That's like a real thing.
And there was this sort of stench of something dead. At that point, he didn't remember anything, but his mother and father, looking out the window, said that this boy, this little thin kid, picked up not barbed wire, but chicken wire that had been attached to posts and cemented, and ripped them out with his hands and tore the wire with his teeth. Now that's...
He keeps wanting to say barbed wire to make it sound more ooh, but it's just chicken wire.
It's impossible to do. But that was the first official report of him changing.
Okay, well, anytime that film is ready...
Wow, I can't believe there's 13 people watching right now. I figured everybody would be at like barbecues and shit. Thank you guys for showing up. Really appreciate you. Please do hit that thumbs up button. Yeah, participate.
To queue up, I think we should get it going.
Queue up, you hit it right.
I believe it's about...
Queue up.
Queue up. That's what they say in England, Tony. Queue up.
I think we'll queue up that film anytime Rob can get that film going.
Now come to believe possession started was when I was 9 years old. Suddenly the temperature just dropped completely like midwinter. Freezing cold. There was a terrible stink coming in the air like a...
Yeah, especially, at that time in the 1980s. Everybody was tense about war.
Saw her back up or something. Then I just literally threw off the handle as though I was mad at somebody. Just went in a total rage, and I mean,
Up until 2 years ago, Londoner Bill Ramsey didn't know why he would attack people, just like the Wolfman in the movies.
Even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
I used to love that poem. I loved it so much I was actually considering getting it tattooed on me, like maybe right across here. But I'm probably not going to do that now. Getting the moon cycle across my chest would be kind of cool, though. What do y'all think of that? Like a phases of the moon. I need to do something to cover up this abomination over here that someone did a long time ago.
I had a very big bad attack and nearly killed a police officer at Southend Police Station. That was in 1987, July 1987.
Ramsey was put in an institution.
They ran all their tests, the brain scans and all this kind of stuff, but all the brain scan can really tell you is not what's wrong with you, it's really what isn't.
Ramsey said it got to a point where he can actually sense a change coming on, so he would drive himself to the police station and the bobbies would lock him up.
Lock me up! Yeah, that's also mimicked in Monster Squad. The Wolfman comes to the police station, he's like, lock me up! And they shoot him instead, which is very American cop of them. So they shoot him, so instead of being locked safely in a jail cell, he's in the back of an ambulance when he transforms. And he tears that ambulance driver to shreds and escapes to meet Dracula, which is the whole plan. Because they wouldn't, instead of listening to the man who's obviously suffering some kind of breakdown, I mean, in this case, he was actually a werewolf, and allowing him to be locked up, they open fire on him. They draw their weapons and blast him until he's dead, or they think he's dead, but he's a werewolf, so he can't be killed with regular bullets. He has to have silver bullets, obviously. But apparently these cops are much more accommodating.
In here, he says, is where others would be safe.
But the English tabloids found Ramsey and hounded him to reveal his real-life folklore of a man-wolf.
He exhibited superhuman strength. That was an indication to me that maybe that was of a demonic nature.
Thousands of miles away in Monroe, Connecticut, ghost hunters Lorraine and Ed Warren heard about the Ramsey case.
The typical werewolf, all of a sudden, the fangs come out there.
I like how if you put Ed Warren in a tracksuit, he would so look like an Italian mob guy.
Comes out the full moon. I said, that's not the way it is. Seriously? This is a possession by the fangs come out, the hair comes out, the full moon. I said, that's not the way it is. This is a possession by the wolf spirit.
Intrigued, the Warrens went to London and met Ramsey. And after studying his case, they concluded the only way to rid Bill of his curse was through the religious rite of exorcism. It was performed in Monroe with the help of Bishop Robert McKenna.
If you pose like this for pictures, it means you're a werewolf. Am I a good werewolf? Get back here in this blue light. Put my legs that need to be shaved up there so you guys can see them. Yes, thank you, Hive Science viewers. Love you. Love you.
I sat him in the front pew and in front of the altar and in an armchair. And
there he is, the exorcist. A little bit in my mouth. Yeah, the exorcist sound like this. You want an exorcist that sounds like this? That sounds like they can dispel those demons from your anus. There's no way to do this. Oh, get out of here, Satan. Go on. I'm just saying.
strapped him in.
I had absolutely no faith in it whatsoever. I thought it was bunkum, stuff for the movies. I remember him approaching me, making the sign of the cross, and I started to shake.
He would clutch his hand, he would hold his hand like it was a claws, you know, trying to resist the exorcism.
And then he put his stole he was wearing around his neck, and he wrapped it around my head, and I don't really remember too much.
And then it was over.
Maybe it was ordained to be me, to make people aware that this demonic possession thing does happen.
But does it, though?
So, Ed, what is Bill Ramsey doing right now?
I guess that's worse than serving time for getting drunk and soliciting an underage prostitute, right? Right? It's a better outcome in the long run for Bill.
Bill Ramsey, of course, is back to his normal self.
So no more underage prostitutes for Bill. He's learned his lesson.
He's back to his normal self.
Yes, Tony, he is back to his normal self. Thank God for men like Bishop Robert McKenna. As I said earlier, is one of the most pious and holy men that I've ever come across. He is a traditional bishop of Our Lady of the Rosary Chapel in Monroe, Connecticut. And if you've seen these nuns there, and you see these priests that are there, these go back many, many years. Very, very knowledgeable, very experienced in this area of work. And I've seen Bishop McKenna help many people. In fact, I have to say that most of the exorcisms today in the United States occur right in that church, Our Lady of the Rosary Chapel.
Well, he's with the...
Right, and he's rogue, like we just looked, and none of his exorcisms are authorized by the church. He's doing it outside of the Vatican's permission. The rogue exorcist. Bishop Robert, not Richard, Robert McKenna.
Traditional church, correct?
Yes,
traditional church, right?
Traditional
the old ways of the Catholic religion. And if we're not for Lorraine and for Bishop McKenna, Bill Ramsey might be in a mental institution today. He might be dead. He might have killed somebody. That was one of his worst fears, that he would kill somebody or hurt somebody so bad.
That's the thing. We don't know where Bill Ramsey is today. The last interview that he did publicly was in 2002. 2002, my son was born. Right? That's how long ago that is. My son's an adult musician who tours with big bands and stuff now. Right? He's a grown man. That's the last time anybody's seen Bill Ramsey. So, at least in the public eye, he's kind of slipped into obscurity. And the interviews that he did in 2002, and anything he did from 1993 to 2002, he did a few interviews. They're hard to find, though. And a lot of them are just in like old occult magazines that are out of publication and stuff now. But he would, or tabloid interviews and things like that, which I'm sure he gets paid for, which is great. I mean, get paid for it. Get your bag, Mr. Werewolf. But as the time moved on, he really moved away from the Warrens' account of the situation. Right? He moved away from the idea that it was a supernatural thing. He moved away to a more of a psychosomatic explanation in later interviews. But they're all, I have quotes from him, but they're not real. They're not in. It's nothing in recording, unfortunately. He said about being a werewolf. They called me that. I never said I was a werewolf. I just wanted it to stop. So he was having blackouts, and when he would wake up, he was attacking people, or he had attacked people. We'll get another quote here. And after the exorcism, it's gone. Whatever it was, it's gone. Sure, he said that. Did I get any other quotes from? Yeah, just the main thing was him saying that about the possession and the exorcism. And he says he never claimed himself that he was possessed or that it was a werewolf. But as we see in the interview here, he did say, yeah, possession's real because I was possessed. So, I mean, take with that what you will. He kind of backed off of it later in life, though. I wish I had more than just snippet quotes from that, though, from obscure magazines that no longer exist and can't find frickin' websites for. I'm going to turn into a werewolf now. I'm going to lose my temper. Maybe, can I turn into a werewolf like the Hulk when I lose my temper instead of when the full moon comes out? I just want to be able to control it. I want to be able to and then turn into a werewolf and have super strength and claws. I want to be pretty still, though, because I just got pretty just now. So I don't want to lose that. I want to stay pretty. So maybe some like yellow eyes and sharp teeth. But when it comes to, like, I don't want to be furry. I have enough dysphoria without fur. If you want to give me the hyena spots without the fur, that'd be fucking hot as hell. But do not give me fur. I will quit being a werewolf or lycanthrope for you completely, Mrs. Moon. Just putting that out there. I wanna be a creature of the night.
And he would know nothing about it at all. And lycanthropy is a type of a disease, but in this case, it was an actual possession. Now, when we talk about the wolf spirit, this means that he would react as a wolf would react. He had the strength of 50 men. I mean, this guy did feats that nobody could ever imagine. And you know, every legend has fact behind it someplace. Your vampires, your ghosts, your werewolves. So Bill Ramsey is the only case that I know of that was a true case of a werewolf.
Mm-hmm. So
or a true case of someone probably suffering from a suite of maybe some mental illnesses, perhaps lycanthropy, but could be a lot of other conditions that would cause a aggressive fugue state. A lot of other options besides, werewolves being real, or demons being real for that matter. There's a lot of explanations for someone going into a fugue state that goes well beyond demonology and into the world of actual legitimate psychology, right? And there's a lot of conditions this man could have had. He also obviously had, whether it's downplayed or not, a bit of a drinking problem, and all of these incidents seem to be tied, at least tangentially, to him being out having some drinks. He was out having a drink when he attacked his friend. He was out having a drink when he solicited the prostitute. The only time that this happened where he didn't say explicitly that he was out drinking was the time he thought he was having a heart attack and he bit that nurse. But there's no record of that on file. Technically, there's no record of his incident with his friends either, because it was never reported to the police or anything where he bit his buddy when they were out having a night out, right? Warren's got a grift, though.
Lycanthropy then is the possession by the wolf spirit?
By the wolf spirit. The wolf spirit in this case would be a demonic spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The
wolf spirit in this case would be a demonic spirit. Now, here Ed's going to go down a weird path about shapeshifters, and just listen to this.
It is believed that was an actual wolf spirit, an animal wolf. There are weird tigers. There are weird hippopotamuses. Father Michael Alemi of Nigeria, Africa, worked with Lorraine and I years ago, and he told us about his village in Nigeria, Cross River, and about how the hippopotamus, the crocodiles, would be possessed by what they call the water society, which were men that would go into a catatonic state, and they would leave that physical body with the astral body, and they would possess the body of a crocodile.
And he just takes that at face value. That happens. That happens. Spirit critters. Yes, Kip Davis, spirit critters.
A hippo or a tiger, and then they would do their foul deeds. But this, of course, was different than what Bill Ramsey had occurred to him. Mm-hmm. He was possessed by...
Don't forget, guys, I'm sticking around until the top of the hour because we're going to go right over to Nancy and Patty. Okay? So don't leave. I know there's not a whole lot of people here. It's 4th of July, but the 14 or so of you all that are here, stick around because we're going to teleport right over to Nancy and Patty's stream tonight, okay?
By a demonic spirit, which was called the wolf spirit.
And that's why the exorcism by a Catholic
had occurred to him. Mm-hmm. He was possessed by a demonic spirit, which was called the wolf spirit.
And that's why the exorcism by a Catholic...
Who called it the wolf spirit? It sounds like the police said it was he was growling like a wolf and you all just kind of ran with it. Become the hippo. Aw, Patty, you can be my hippo. Can we play in the pool together? I have a pool out here. If you're going to be a hippo, I want to float on your back. You be a hippo and I'll be one of those. What are those? The oxpeckers. Yeah, I'll be one of those, and we'll just be symbiotic. I'll make sure you don't have parasites, and you'll protect me from crocodiles. Let's do it, Patty. You and me. You and me, girl. Please tell me about the Spirit Critters Hive site. Ever since the fucking now disgraced Egyptologist mentioned them last week, I am becoming obsessed. Ooh, what's your spirit critter? Did you see the poll I had earlier about what were creature I'd be? I'm a were hyena. Kip Davis, maybe. Kip Davis is probably a were bear. He has grizzly energy. Are you a bear daddy? Oh, yeah. Apostate sisters are going to be were hippos. Well, at least Patty's already committed to being a were hippo. You can't, no takesies backsies. You got to make it work, girl. I mean, I imagine a were hippo is going to be pretty stacked.
Catholic priest
was successful, Tony.
And about the most pious Catholic bishop that I could ever come across.
Lorraine, anything you'd like to add or summarize as far as the Ramsey case? I know this was your baby.
Oh, it was, Tony. You have no idea how proud I am of this case. I mean, and then to have it have a positive end.
How proud you are to have taken advantage and grifted upon on this possibly mentally ill gentleman and his family, or at the very least, someone dealing with aggressive, violent disorder that may branch from their drinking. That happens. I had a drinking dad. I know how my dad was when he'd drink. Completely different person. Absolutely aggressive.
That hot July day in that church in Monroe was the culmination of everything.
And we knew that there was
wonderful.
Ooh, Gary Oldman. Oh my gosh, that'd be so good. Gary Oldman could do it too. He can play anybody. Jude Law could do it too. They'd have to be able to do like a I think Jude Law can do a Connecticut accent. I know Gary Oldman can do a New England accent. David Tennant, David Tennant could knock it out of the park. If they bring, has the bishop already been introduced into the Conjuring universe? Because they need to introduce him, and he can be. Yeah, that's a good casting there. Jude Law. Gary Oldman's the one that speaks to me the most out of those listed. Although Carrie Eloise would be good too, if he could do the accent good. I don't know if Carrie Eloise does a good New England accent though, but he's good looking too.
One person that could help Bill Ramsey.
And you know what happened, Tony? I had tried very hard to find funding. See, I wanted nothing to do with any money connected with this. And so I needed to find funding in order to bring Bill Ramsey to this country to be exorcised. Otherwise, Ed and I would have had to live over in England for a period of time, and time just wasn't on our side to do that.
I think it's important to...
You would have had to live... Why do you need to be involved in his exorcism at all, Lorraine? Why can't you just fund it? Because you got to make that... You got to get your bag, right, Lorraine? You got to be there on site taking pictures. You got to write a book about it. Ain't that right, Lorraine? She doesn't want to make any money off this.
Acknowledge the British police
why
department.
we got these?
I understand they gave you an actual helmet. This is an actual helmet from the Essex Police.
Yes.
And that's an actual woman's helmet. I'm holding this, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a fake. It's not one of those souvenirs.
Oh,
it even has numbers in it.
Yes.
And I also understand that they gave you a plaque.
And
they also
plaque.
gave the British citizens out there listening help you out.
They helped
in this
us.
case.
Thankful.
They, unlike a lot of people that might in this country, how they went out of their way to be, speaking of everyone that we dealt with, in order to document this. When I asked Bishop McKenna, Bishop, I said, would you like to borrow the tape and would you like to borrow all of the material so that you can see the documentation? He said to me, no, because then I might be frightened. He said, I would...
So the bishop who did the exorcism's afraid he's going to see something on the tape that would scare him?
I would rather do it and
I don't know if we can get a shot of this. Maybe we can go to camera one and see if we can get it. It might be a little glary, but if we can get a picture there.
Oh, there.
It says the aftermath. And on this other page here where my fingers are, it's showing Bishop McKenna and Bill Ramsey. I guess this was after the exorcism?
Right after the exorcism.
How long did this exorcism take?
40 minutes.
Long, only
40 minutes. Tony.
One time, right.
Yes.
And it worked.
And again, I attribute that to Bishop McKenna.
Yes.
Okay, and this is the book Werewolf that could be purchased still to this day, correct?
Yes, it can.
Yeah, you're selling a book. Oh, I don't want any proceeds from this. I'm going to sell a book about it.
This is by Ed and Lorraine Warren, of course, with Bill Ramsey and Robert David Chase. And I believe this is also in hardcover.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
in
paperback.
softcover. Yes,
it's
it
in
is,
hardcover
Tony.
here, of course. How could they get this book? Just go to a bookstore?
Yes, they can
and just to close out, I do want to say that I did, where is it? I did read what you can read for free out here on Google. And it's mostly just the same story. But you'll notice inconsistencies as you go through this. If you have it's about a 30-minute read, what's available on here. Well, I don't know. Is it a 30-minute read, though? Because I, like, researched while I was in the middle of it. So it's hard to say what it is without doing it. But, yeah, it's got interview questions that he answered. What page are we on? Yeah. And it ends right there. But you can read a few. Well, I guess you can see up here how much you can read of it. So the ones that are in blue. So you can read that much of the book, part 1. So you can read about 2/3 of the first section to get a vibe for it if you really want to. If you want to see if this is something you'd actually be interested in reading. I'm not interested in reading it, but if someone wants to buy me a copy of it for my collection, or someone interested in spending money on Lorraine Warren's books, but if someone wants to donate one to the Hive, then that would be acceptable. All right. So, a few housekeeping things before I kick you all over. I am still mulling around the idea of changing the name. If I do change it to something, I'm not gonna lose the Hive. The Hive's still gonna be part of it. It's gonna be either Breeze Hive or Paranormal Hive or Para Hive or something like that. I don't have anything set in stone yet, but that's the plan. All right. Now, next week I do have Nancy coming on to do the let me get it right this time, the CE5 UFO cult. At least what I think is a UFO cult. People might argue with me that it's not, but I can have my own opinion on whether or not it's a cult. Some people think being trans is a cult, so I guess I'm at a cult too. Regardless, I will be back here next week, but more importantly, I will be here tomorrow morning. I will be here, and tomorrow morning we are discussing, we got hell hogs, so we're talking about giant monstrous swine for CrypticCorner, like rhino-sized pigs, right? These things are huge. So giant pigs. And then we have God's Healing Springs, which is magic water that you can go to and get healed from all your sicknesses and diseases. And then we're going to wrap things up, starting the summer of man-eaters with hyenas, which, as we just established, I would be a were-hyena. So that's important. In part, goes full circle. See, it's all part of the script. If you're paying attention, you can keep up. But I am going to send everybody over now to join the Apostate Sisters, and I do want to see 12 people pop in there, okay? All right, I'm sending you over. I'm just going to run my little goodbye snake drop video, and then we'll see y'all over there. Remember to be kind, take care, and I will see you in the morning. Don't miss Live from the Hive.
Oh, there's a hawk. 快看，有一只鸟飞过来了。
哎，是鸟啊，鸟啊！
哦，
往我们这边跑了，哎，到水里了，到水里了。